Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings or grand rising, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from in the world. My name is Na Amele Asante-Armar, and you are watching the live discussion on female genital mutilation and its harmful effects. Streaming live from Ghana on the United States of Africa Facebook page, the Power to Our Mothers Foundation Africa Facebook page, and also the United States of Africa YouTube channel. So if you are on any of those platforms, please take a few seconds to drop a comment, let us know where you're joining us from, and also subscribe, like the page or the channel. I'm very happy to be here today with our guest, who has taken time out to join us very, very early from where she is. It's 5 o'clock where she is, so we're very grateful to her. Our guest today is the lovely Suad Farole, and she is a community-based doula, an educator, a mother of 3, a wife, doing work in the community on a number of different levels. But instead of hear from me, let us hear from her. So let's give her a warm virtual welcome to the platform. Welcome, Sister Suad.
Thank you for having me, Anna. I up 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't get up for nothing unless I'm doing my prayer. But today I have to get up for my sisters. So thank you for inviting me now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So today, in the series so far, we're talking and looking at different aspects of female genital mutilation and the harmful effects that it has on girls and women that undergo this process. But first, let's hear a little bit about our guest today. So, Sister Suad, you are a doula. Yes. And community-based doula. And so can you just let people a little know a little bit about what that involves, just for anyone who's not really familiar with what it is that you do?
Yeah. Can I tell you first why I got involved on, kind of activist for, fighting. So I myself, I don't call myself a victim. I don't like that word, but I am one of the millions of women who were born in Africa. I'm originally from Somalia, that had a circumcision. So about 10 years ago, when I started working as a community-based doula, I found myself seeing more women who are like me. And when I say that, I meant, we all, where I'm from, women are circumcised, yes, but I did not know the effect that women go throughout her entire life, womanhood, including a childbearing time and after. So, some of you who don't know what doula is, and community-based doula and community-based doula. So doula is somebody who is kind of, let me put it in a word, assist the midwives to help deliver babies. But my particular job, it goes beyond that. Community-based doula is somebody who does prenatal visits, home visits for the mom. Before baby, we meet moms like around 24 weeks and until babies are 2 years old, their second birthday of life. So I do prenatal care during the pregnancy and birth. I'm with her during birth and then postnatal, and beyond postnatal, early childhood education with the mom. So what happens, what I have noticed is that when I have started this work in the community, that first of all, I was so happy to see women who were like me, because I work only with Somali women in the community, which is kind of blessing, because how many people get to say, they get to work with people where they're from, the language they speak and the religion they, keep. So when I began this work, I have noticed that, these women are like me. Most women are like me. 90% of my clients are like me. When I say like me, it's that they all are circumcised. And as we know, circumcision, it's 3 parts. It goes 3 parts, the first, second, and the third. And most of the time, what I've noticed is most of these women are like, we're in a number 3 part, which is the I call it the barbaric one. And every time I'm with these women, it brings back a lot of PTSD for me. So at first, when I began this work, I didn't took that personally, but then years go by, it began to bother me. Something was just nagging in my head, just telling me that, Suad, this is wrong. What happened to you and what happened to these women? And I started researching, and I saw a bunch of organizations doing things, and I didn't know where to begin. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to begin with me. I'm just going to go out there in the community, one woman at a time, to educate women. Listen, this is what's been done for us. Let's forgive our parent and our grandparent, but just let's not do it with our daughters. So I myself, I have a daughter. And am I going to have her get circumcised? The answer is no, a big no. So that's how I got into this work.
Wow, that is powerful. If you wouldn't mind, it's always good because we never know who is exactly joining, and it's great that we have people who can talk about it. As you see here, Sister Latifa is saying it's hard to talk about, and yes. I really thank you for sharing, because I believe that each time that you share, not only are you helping our fellow sisters out there who have gone through this, or who are thinking about going through this, or are thinking about their children, I also believe that you are also making an additional step in your own healing, your own process through this. Because what I've come to learn is that this may, and you let me know if you're comfortable to share that, but this may have happened to you when you were very young, but it seems to stay with you for forever, or for a very long time. So I really do thank you for sharing. Let me just take a moment now to welcome on board our co-host. Apologies, he's had some difficulties joining us today, but she's here. Welcome, Sister Najar Nyakio.
Hi, Mr. Najar. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I can't complain. Finally,
Yes, it's finally nice to see you. I'm sorry, I might have some technical issues, but I'm here.
Okay.
At least.
No problem. Okay. No problem.
Okay. We will. Yeah, I apologize if there is an echo. Sister Najar, if it's possible, if you have headphones, if you try and see,
can you hear me?
And see if that works.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Okay, good.
It's just the echo.
Yeah.
So, Sister Suad was just letting us know about her role as a community-based doula, and what that entails, and the fact that it enables her to meet lots of women in her community who are unlike her, have undergone female genital mutilation. Apologies to the audience. I'm hearing an echo. I'll try and sort it out as we go through the program. And welcome to everyone that's joining us. So, Sister Suad, from your own experience, what is it? So now as a doula, what is that, or how does that enable you to work with and help women who, like yourself, have undergone female genital mutilation?
Can you repeat that question again? It was echoed from the beginning.
Okay. So my question was, given the role that you play as a community-based doula, and an activist, how do those things enable you to assist, your fellow sisters in the community with difficulties that they face because they've undergone female genital mutilation? I guess, especially in terms of preparing for pregnancy and labor.
Well, one of the things I noticed about women is that, especially African women, we like to talk. So storytelling is one of our way of healing. So when I do my prenatal visits, one or two segment of my prenatal visit, we talk about the subject of, are you circumcised? And the answer, 99.9% is always yes. And then we talk about how are you planning, or have you talked to your gynecologist or midwife about what's going to happen before you deliver baby? Because we all know, before you deliver baby, you have to go a certain surgery, which is required for women to be undone her circumcision, because most of the time babies cannot make it throughout that area. And what surprises me the most is that they have no clue. They're like, no, nobody has discussed that with me, or my OB hasn't discussed that with me, or my midwife hasn't discussed that with me. And I've always asked them, did you tell them that you're circumcised? Well, yeah, they examine me, of course, they can see that I'm circumcised. So what I've noticed is that about 10 years ago, most of gynecologists, they are specialized on this, an FGM, female mutilation, genital, but not all of them recognize or know, the effect that women have before, during, and after. I mean, they see this is as a procedure that these women go through, and yes, they feel sorry for us. I get that. But what they don't get is that the emotion that comes with it, and the trauma, and the nightmares, and, the PTSDs that attach to, this particular procedure. It's not just a procedure that was done to her when she was a little, and procedure that she's going to go through during her childbirth, and then she's just going to forget about it. It's another level of trauma. So my way of telling is that, we talk about it, these things. We bring it up, and I prepare them. This is what's going to happen to you. This is how it's going to happen to you. So, yeah. And of course, I'm there for her during delivery, just to make sure that she's not going through this by herself.
That's wonderful. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. The question that came up for me was, if, like, in your work, because at the moment you are in the States, so is that as a result of work you have done in the Somali community in the States where you are, or different countries? Because the reason I ask that is that I've had guests in the past tell us that actually it's quite common that when they're going for, they're pregnant and they're going for checks, one of the questions they are asked is, have they undergone female genital mutilation or the female circumcision? So I just wondered if that depended on the location of where the women are, or maybe the community they are in.
Yes, it depends on where they are and what community are they in. You have to realize that I serve the underserved community in where I'm at. I serve the low-income families in the community I live in. And when I say that, I work for a nonprofit organization, of course. And nonprofit organization, most of the time serve communities that are underserved, communities who are, don't get a lot of, the high-tech, the up-to-date medical, need or necessity, communities who are being looked down communities who are looked at as, low-income immigrants. Yeah, name it. I got lots of names, but I don't want it to list it, all of it. But the bottom line is that I serve the underserved community.
Okay.
So most likely these people are going to get the medical care that they deserve to get.
Very, very important. I just wanted to deal with this question, or for us to deal with this question from one of our viewers. And this is about, once for the procedure that involves a woman being stitched up or her being glued, I think I heard back together almost, or healed together. Is that stitch unstitched or cut before sex?
After circumcision, a lot of women do undergo before marriage to reopen themselves, because like I said, the circumcision is 3 parts. The third part, the first part, we call it just a cut of the small opening, or you can say the clitoris. And the second part, and I don't know, I have to be graphic. The second part is that where women have to be removed and then sewed on just a tiny, tiny bit. And the third part is that where women have to be cut the entire ilivia, the top, and then they have to sew it from top to the bottom. And she only pees from this part, about this pen. They only leave that much for her to pee. So when women get married, and this is really, really hard for a lot of women who don't have the medical, necessity to get help. To get help, they go through hell. And yes, here at West, where I live, a lot of women do undergo surgery to reopen themselves before marriage, so it will be easier for them to enjoy their partner. Did that answer her question? You're muted. Oh, somebody was asking me which organization I work for. I work for Open Arms Prenatal Services. I work 2 organizations. And the other organization I work. I can hear my own voice. This is crazy. The other organization.
We can hear you. I think we can hear you.
Okay. The other organization I work is. It's called.
Mr. Suad, are you still there? I'm not sure if it's just me.
Yeah, I think it was you who just got. A little bit of static, but you're back.
We're here.
Thank you. The organization I work with 90% Somali Community, Global Genital Services. Yeah, they both are in a business. I'm gonna turn myself down a little bit. There you go.
Okay, I think Sister Angela has gone. So what I would like to ask you is this. I think you answered the question about the reopening. My question would be this. Because you're working for the low income, these I would think are the families where the girls are not told what they have gone through, so they have little education. Am I right about this?
Yes, you are.
So, is there any preparation before marriage for the girls who have come from the continent? Is there any kind of education before marriage?
No.
No.
Answer is no.
Answer is no.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
what
tells you
happens
what to
is
do
that
or what's going to happen on your wedding
what
night.
happens is that these girls, when they, this is painful. So what happens is that unless these girls go for, well, they don't, which means that their marriage night is
Hell.
hell. Hell.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay. Okay. There's usually a ceremony which is done where when the girl goes in for the marriage ceremony, the relatives stand around and then they ask to see the sheet. You know about this?
Yes.
Yes.
We did practice at home, but I don't think it when we country due to civil war and we came to Europe West. We do practice that anymore. Some do, but most don't, and especially the last 10 years and plus, because women chose not to, have a pain in her wedding night, some of the women, and chose to undergo this surgery, a minor surgery where she, wants to enjoy her, wedding night. And after all, what people don't understand is that for women to bleed, it's not the circumcision part that makes her bleed. That is a big part. That's a huge part, and that's a huge part. This is a human being body. But when a woman is married and she's a virgin and she bleeds, regardless whether she's circumcised or not circumcised, she does bleed somewhat. Some women do, because of the hymen, her hymen. It has nothing got to do outside. It's inside. So I don't even know why we were circumcised. I'm still looking for the answer to that question.
That's a very powerful question in itself to ask, because we all have our views about circumcision. It's something that's very female genital mutilation is something that's very new to me, and I'm always grateful for the women that have graced this platform, Sister Najar as well, to be sharing the knowledge, because for some of us in some parts of the world, it's completely alien to us. But this is what is happening to our sisters, our children, our daughters, so young across the world. And the fact that, you as a survivor, if I can say that, have been through it, and still there's something that doesn't make sense. To me, that is very telling, because the question I ask, and I'm yet to find someone who can explain to me, is what is the benefit to anyone, like literally to anyone, the men included? What is the benefit to the greater good of our girls and our women undergoing this practice?
Against their own will.
Yeah,
because
so on the one hand,
never given consent to do that, and she's not the age of consent. So I don't know the benefit. I've asked, I research, I talk to the elders in the community. Well, they say, well, our great parents used to do it. We had to do it. It's tradition. As far as I'm concerned, it has nothing got to do with the religion that I practice, which is Islam. And the Quran doesn't indicate that women should be cut. Male is different situation, yes. But women, no. But there are certain practices that during our Prophet Muhammad والسلام, when he was living, that Africa practiced. and it was allowed, but that doesn't mean that, it has to be done. And I have talked to some of the Islamic scholars locally, internationally about this subject, and most of them said, no, women should not be cut because this has nothing got to do with health or anything. It doesn't benefit her anything. More like it's more harm to her than anything. Yeah, there's no benefit in it.
I agree with that, because there was a time last year when the mosques actually picked it up here in Kenya, and there was a whole heated debate, and it was recognized that FGM is not a part of the teachings, okay, of the Muslim or Quran teachings. It is not a part of it.
Okay.
And and this is the sad part, that it is not only among Muslims, okay, because we have other communities which are not Muslim, and they also circumcise. And these communities are Christian communities, okay, where the members go to, they even go to Catholic churches, they go to Baptist church. So it's not a religious discussion. That's clear. Okay, that's completely clear. And we can't say that it is only for Muslims.
No.
That's also not true.
No.
Okay.
There are other practices.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask another question.
Mm-hmm.
As a doula, there are exercises which we know, which are for the strengthening of the pelvic floor muscles.
Yes.
And these exercises help with the toning.
Mm-hmm.
They help with birthing.
Yeah.
Is it possible that this could be another way up together with surgery, to help women who have been circumcised for giving birth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I encourage women to practice this after birth.
I encourage women to practice this
after birth. I tell them, I tell them even without even them lifting a finger while they're breastfeeding, while they're sitting, while they're cooking, while they're standing, while they're lying down, to practice Kegel as much as they can to straighten their, strength of your uteral area and also the pelvic floor of their womanhood.
Wonderful. We have a comment, and I think we have addressed it in maybe previous shows, that when I ask the questions, what are the benefits, if any, of our women and girls undergoing this practice, and one of our viewers is saying that, social control. However, African researchers, or some have said that it was the practice of both men and women in old times to show their wisdomhood. One of the things, I don't know, Sister Suad, if you have any response to that. But before that, I would say that one of the things that we have uncovered or revealed in the series of our discussions, and Sister Najar has been helping us with that, is that even though this practice is prevalent or has been being practiced in Africa for a number of years, tens, hundreds, I think maybe now, maybe even thousands of years, it is not something that is indigenous to us as a people. It is something that was taught to us. It was something that came from Rome, or the Romans. It was a practice that was handed to us as a means of business. You know, our circumcised children were worth more as slaves, you know. So these are the things that are not being widely spoken about, and this is why we must speak to them about, because we don't want people to feel that, as Sister Najar said, that this is not a religious issue. We're not attacking anybody's religion, their culture. And when we talk about the culture, remember, at least here, we are on a Pan-African platform. We are talking, we always want to go back to what is it that was natural and indigenous to us as a people, because through slavery, colonialism, imperialism, we've been taken, or a lot of us have been taken so far away from what our ancestors exactly, how they lived and what they practiced. So we're trying to find our way back. So this is not an attack on the things that we are doing. It is a way to uncover what it is have we lost. Why is it that we are so affected as we are as a people, and especially as the women, the mothers, because we are the ones that actually have to carry the future generations. You know, of course, two people to make a child, but we have to physically carry them into this world. And if our vessel is damaged, is mutilated from such an early age, these traumas are being birthed with our children. This is what we've been discussing on the platform. So, Sister Suad, I really, really thank you for being here and sharing, you know, along with your own personal journey, you know, the assistance that you are giving to our sisters, and actually highlighting that they do need assistance. Because the questions that Sister Najar was asking you, that to some may seem very simple, that, okay, so what preparation do our sisters get before and there is none. It's bad enough to think of our sisters undergoing this practice, and then it's like they're just left there to fend for themselves. How do we expect anyone, and you've mentioned a number of times, you know, the post-traumatic stress disorder that, you know, comes along with these things. How do we expect any human being to undergo such practices and function in a normal way? How do we expect them to have a meaningful life where they're contributing, where they feel value in themselves? How do we do that? So I thank you that you are helping our sisters in your way to manage what is like the most natural thing in the world, as in giving birth. We are here because, you know, women birth children, and that sacred, that natural practice has been made so difficult and fatal. We haven't even talked about the sisters that we lose through giving birth. In your experience, I mean, I don't know about statistics and things, but in your experience, are you able to say, are there more women that die in child labor because they've gone through female genital mutilation? Is that something that you've observed?
I cannot say that because I have some loss in my years, but I did read one of the research that one of the doctor who's living in North Somalia, Dr. Edna, her research, and I haven't finished reading her research about FGM, but she does mention somewhat there, because, you know, she's the one who's doing the groundwork. You know, she's back home doing the groundwork, seeing these women, you know, delivering babies. She's a midwife, delivering babies and all those. And yes, there is a statistic out there, women can go, you know, can die from this trauma during labor and delivery.
Okay. I make that point not to say that there is a competition, but unfortunately, you know, there seems to be, like I said, something that was once so natural for us, especially as African women, so natural for us to give birth. We have all these difficulties, and Sister Najar does speak about some of the reasons about these things in her My Two podcast. But
oh yes, I love that podcast, by the way. It helped me out a lot.
we need to know a lot of these things about our bodies and our wounds, whether or not we've been through this mutilation. So
Women's body is a sacred, you know. I see it as our body as a sacred, you know. It's for us, it's for our temple. And our wound, it's ours. It's our wound is what we it's a sacred that, you know, God only gave it to us as a female to bring, you know, to bring children to this world, you know, like we give birth to leaders, you know, in the world. And that came from women. And what I don't understand is that how could you just diminish that women who are feeling and disregard that? Yeah, when you find that answer, let me know.
we may go ahead, Mr. Najar.
I'll just do a very quick recap for those who are watching, and for the sake of also Sister Suad. So if you think about our history, you usually think about our history is as short as probably 1,000 years. So I want you to go back in your mind to 2,500 years, and we were many in Africa, and in Rome, when the Roman civilization began, they couldn't work. They couldn't work like how we work. Okay, we are the ones who can stay out in the sun and work all day long. We have a lot of energy. Okay, and what the Roman Empire did is that they used to go around gathering people from Europe and turning them into slaves. But these slaves revolted. And we have history about many slave revolts during the Roman times. So they started getting slaves from Africa. Okay. And there was a problem because the slaves in Africa, you see, Roman culture, we know this now, okay? Roman culture was very, they would use both the male and the female for their sexual pleasure. And what happened is that there were babies everywhere. And they would get rid of these babies. They would throw them away. They would really throw babies away. So they began first by castrating male slaves. Okay? Because the male slaves, what was happening is that they were impregnating the women of the Roman leaders, okay, the hierarchy. They were impregnating them. So they began by castrating males, and they started with castrating Chinese people from the Caucasus Mountains, people from what they call the Asian type. Okay, they began there first, and then they also started closing up the women with pins. Okay. Now remember, this is the same society, okay, that would put the chastity belt on their women, their own women. Okay, their own women. This is the same thinking. So these Roman chiefs, what they would do is that they would put a chastity belt on their own women, and then they'd go to war. So for them, it was not a big step in closing off the reproductive organs of their slaves, male and female. And the word went down into Africa, okay, because the slave trade started a long time ago. It started about 2,500 years ago. And that's where the culture now took over, that the children who could not give birth fetched a higher price for slavery. And that is why they started circumcising girls at a very young age. And that's why they started castrating boys, okay? And we're not talking about, we're talking about castration. Because the idea was that they did not want these children to give birth. And the longer they waited, they could work all their lives because they wouldn't have children. They could just work all their lives. No children, no nothing, just work, work, work. So 2,000 years ago is a pretty long time. And there have been those who say that they found girls who have been circumcised in our tombs, in Egypt, in Kemet. And I say yes, because they would take these girls and they would castrate them, okay? And we know that the Romans were in that region, okay? In that region as well. So yes, this is a very old custom, and that is where the idea of pricing comes in, that when you cut the price goes up and they're worth more. So this worthiness, okay, and I want to make this clear, this worthiness, this idea that you are worth more as a woman has now been transferred into this whole mutilation. Are you seeing the language here? Where,
yes.
where now, instead of thinking about what ancestors did 2,500 years ago, okay, it is now being said that, oh, a woman has no worth unless she is castrated. But that is where the roots are from. And I think that should help whoever is watching right now.
Well, it helped me now that that's really painful.
There is a question, Sister Najar. I don't know if you can answer it.
There is a question, Sister Najar. I don't know if you can answer it in the show.
Let me just pull it up.
Let me just pull it up.
It's just about where we talk about it dating back to the Roman times. Maybe you can share some resources for me to post later. in terms of Roman and the Faroon and Empire. But maybe if you have resources, I can share them later, if that's okay with you. Unless you want to say anything now.
Yeah, I agree with.
I'm having.
I agree with.
Yeah.
Oops, what's happened?
Oops, what's happened?
Yeah, I'm having some technical issues right now, but basically what the two empires did meet. This is something which we are not told about. The two empires did meet, and there were many. What we're learning now, okay, what is coming now is that there were many Cleopatras and there were many pharaohs, okay. It was a title, but the two empires did meet, and it is during this meeting, that's what I'm saying, when Romulus was the man who started Rome, and the man who said that fathers were allowed to sell their extra children into slavery. Okay, he's the one who set the law up and said, okay, you know, you guys, I'm allowing you, if you have extra children, you can sell them. You can make this possible. Now, in Africa, we had the pharaohs, we had Pharaoh, okay? And like I said, the Caucasians, this in the Mediterranean, in Italy, in Rome, the Roman Empire came all the way down south until we do know, until Egypt and Alexandria, okay? So when the Caucasians rebelled, right? These emperors, they said that they needed slaves. This was business. This was business as usual. And where they're going to get slaves from? They're going to get black slaves from Africa. They're also getting slaves from China. They're also getting slaves from India. So this was agreement by all the different leaders at the time. It's business as usual. So we could pin this on, we can't pin it and say it's just one person. It's the culture basically was that the Romans needed slaves. And they needed these slaves to not give birth. So they started with cutting the eunuchs, and then after that, they started with cutting the girls.
Subhanallah.
And it looks like,
this is so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is a lot of history there.
There is a lot of history there. So
thank you for that question. Sister Suad, so yeah. in the work that you do, what would be, I guess, the message, advice, suggestions, tips that you, or are there any that you would like to give to our sisters, maybe those especially with daughters, about, you know, the work that you do, and how they can help themselves in terms of if they have undergone female genital mutilation, and the effect that it has from your experience?
First of all, I want to say thank you to Sister Najar, because she gave me a lot of wisdom in education, and she gave me a lot to think about it. So thank you very much. As always, you know, your wisdom and knowledge is amazing. My advice to women that are circumcised is that what's been done to us is already been done. Don't do it to our daughters. Don't sneak our daughters out of the country, no matter where you are, whether you're in Europe, in Africa, or wherever country you are at. You know, have them gone through what you went through. Remember, this has nothing got to do with health. It has nothing got to do with marriage or sex or anything, or how worth you are. Women's worth is not of her, you know, private area. Women's worth is who she is, where she's from, how she carries herself, what kind of education background she has, what kind of families that she's from, what kind of lineage she's carrying with her. And for those who are already here, like me, who are the victim, I don't like to use that word a lot, already went through this. When you are going to get married, before you get married, make sure that you see an OB, not midwife, OBGYN, who are specialized in circumcision, because not all OBs do specialized in this area. There's one particular doctor might state that a lot of women go there, and I like her. She's amazing. I send her to my patients all the time, my clients, my friends, and she does an amazing job with these women, and she feels for them, and she knows the trauma they went through and the trauma they're going to go through, but she's doing the work. Number 3, when you decide to get pregnant, make sure you find a midwife or OB that are specialized this procedure that you are going to go through, because you will go through it again. If you haven't done it before marriage, you will go through it during childbirth. And if you already have a doctor currently, make sure to talk about this with her before you deliver babies. And self-care, you know, forgiveness, you know, to forgive our parents and our grandparents for what they've done to us, because they did not know better. They didn't have the education that we have today, but today we have the tools. Today we have the education. So we don't need to carry on this one harmful culture that doesn't even belong to us, that the white man brought it to us, to our land. We don't have to carry on with us. We can let go. And especially those of us who are, you know, the religion of Islam, let's practice on the religion. Let's stop the religion. Let's stop unnecessary culture. Let's leave the culture baggage behind. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Something?
Sorry. Sister Najar, did you want to say something?
Can I add something?
Sister Najar, did you want to say something?
Yes, I wanted to add something. The Sister Suad, is it possible on any level to begin to accept that any woman who has gone through FGM is allowed to have a C-section? Is it in any way possible?
When it comes to C,
like, what do you mean? Like, is she allowed to?
Like, what do you mean? Like, is she allowed to accept? Like,
okay, there are instances here where when it is obvious that the mother cannot give birth because she's gone through FGM, so nothing is opening down there, and C-section is necessary where husbands have refused for the C-section, saying that a woman must give birth through her canal and that C-section is abnormal.
It's going to be hard for me to say this.
It's going to be hard for me to say this.
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your question.
Yeah, so C-section as an alternative where it is not possible to have delivery through the vaginal canal.
No, it shouldn't be done C-section. I agree with the husband this one. I'm sorry. C-section is a major surgery. And FGM, whoever, I mean, when we go through circumcision, women can basically she can be opened through her vagina and deliver that baby naturally. And it's safer for her to deliver the baby vaginally than to deliver that baby C-section.
Thank you, Sister Suad. There was a question that I was going to ask, completely escaped me. But we thank you for joining us on this platform and sharing all you had. Are you able to share the? Sorry, it was a question from before. Are you able to share the organization you work for?
Yes, I did. Yeah, Open Arms and GBS, Seattle, Washington.
Open Arms, GBS.
Open Arms and GPS. There's two organizations I work for. Yes.
I see. Yeah, sorry, there was a question earlier. I just didn't want to make sure that we had forgotten it. Thank you. That is, I echo the message that was sent before, that, we thank you for the work that you are doing. We need more of you until we can have less women and girls who are undergoing this practice. And as I've said, you've heard it from Sister Suad, who is a survivor herself, and me. If anybody has an answer to the question, that question about what positive benefit or impact to the greater good, whether it is for men, the women, the society, what benefit there is from undergoing this practice of female genital mutilation, answers into our mailbox, because we really would like to know. It's important for us to understand this and to keep it open. Sister Najar, thank you as ever for being here and sharing your wisdom and perspectives with us. Sister Suad, a final thank you to you again. Hopefully we'll have you back on the platform, because we have work to do. We have many women, girls to reach out to, and also, I thank our brothers, the men who join and they support and they ask questions, because they really want to know how they can support us. So I salute and I thank them as well. To our viewers watching from wherever you are, thank you for joining us. You'll find us back here next week again, 1 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. EAT, and depending who the guest is, we'll give you another time zone. So we wish you all the best for the rest of your day, and see you next week. I'm Naamele Asante-Armar signing out.
Thank you, guys. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Thank you.